Okay, good morning. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. We are back home from the honeymoon, and yeah, I don't even know what kind of flow we're gonna do today. I'm thinking something along the lines of ankles. Yeah, what if we just do foot stuff? Yesterday, I taught a yoga flow to a bunch of snowboarders at a snowboarding camp that Tommy B and Jonathan Buckhouse was putting on, and we talked about ankle mobility. And I noticed as a lot of people sat there, if we sit on our ankles like so, a lot of people were like, oh, squirming around. Ankle mobility is key for snowboarding. If you want to get low into a deep squat, or if you want to be able to toe side, heel side at any time, you need to have ankles that can do that. So we're going to be working on our ankle mobility today, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so first things first, we're going to start off in a child's pose. So you're going to have your big toes together, and then the top of the feet on the floor, and then your knees nice and wide, probably the distance of your mat. And if you don't have a mat, just make sure your knees are nice and wide here. And then already, we're sitting on our heels, stretching them out a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and walk our hands out all the way down, trying to bring your forehead to the floor into a child's pose. And just breathe for a second. Notice how your hips, your ankles, a little bit of your low back, your shoulders, everything gets to open up here. And just breathe. Beautiful. And then slowly, again, walking your hands up until we're all the way seated back on our ankles. And already, this might feel a little like, ah, for some people. Don't worry, we're going to come out of it. So go ahead, come into a tabletop position. So hands on the mat, bring your knees a little bit closer together, and then just start making small circles with your ankles. Maybe you'll get little pops. Maybe go in small circles the other way. Pop, pop, pop. Beautiful. And now we're going to tuck our toes under and make sure you get every single toe. So maybe you have to use your hands to make sure your pinky toes are tucked under. Perfect. And now we're sitting on our heels with our toes tucked, so we're really stretching out the bottom of the foot as well. So from here, we're just going to let our knees slide forward ever so slightly, really opening up the bottom of the foot. And breathe. Ooh, it can be intense sometimes. Couple more. Breathe. If you want to do something while you're here, you can always interlace your fingers behind your back. Make your chest proud. Open up your chest by looking up. Beautiful. And let's release, placing your hands onto the ground, coming back into that tabletop position. Untuck your toes. And then just make little grabbing motions with your toes, like you're picking something up. Kind of bringing them back to life a little bit. And you can do small circles again. Beautiful. From here, we're going to tuck our toes under, and then we're just going to press the ground away through our hands and our feet and just hover your knees. Beautiful. Then from here, we're going to press our hips back over our heels into a little crouched tiger. It's not its real name, but I like to call it that. And then slowly start to straighten out your legs. Now here's the important thing. Your legs do not have to be all the way straight. Sometimes when we straighten our legs, our spine gets rounded. So we really want to keep a straight spine and try to bring your head in between your arms. And so bend your knees a little bit, bringing your chest to your knees. And then you can straighten one leg and bend the other. Back and forth. This is really, really good, stretching out our calves, which has a huge part in ankle mobility. And breathe. Bend one knee, straighten the other. Beautiful. Then slowly walk, step, or jump your feet in between your hands I like to walk. And then going at a forward fold. So if you've been here before, you know always keep a bent knee in a forward fold. So if our legs are locked out, again, our spine is rounding. So bend your knees, straighten your spine, and breathe. If you want to add a 2 for 1, you can always grab each elbow, or you can interlace your hands behind your back and bring them down to the ground. It totally is up to you. Just breathe. Now we're going to place our hands on the ground as we slowly bend your knees till your hips are over your heels. And now we're in another crouched position. From here, we're going to come up onto our tippy toes as high as you possibly can. Tippy, tippy, tippy toes. Bow your head and breathe here for a moment. And then coming out of it, just release your heels down to the ground, or try to. They're not going to get there probably, but just them releasing down, we're stretching out the back side of our calves. Or excuse me, the calves. And you can lean your chest towards your knees for a little bit more. You can bring your chin over your knees for a little bit more. And then placing your weight into your hands as you press back up into that forward fold. Remember, keeping that bend in the knees. And we're going to do it again. Hands on the ground. Start to bend, bend, bend your knees, bringing your hips over your heels, and then coming way high up on your tippy toes. Tippy, 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 tippy toes. Beautiful. And then again, try to get your heels down to the ground as you lean forward over your knees. Really feeling that good stretch in your calves. Breathe in and out through the nose always. Bonus points if you can take your hands off the ground. Ah. Beautiful. And from here, we're just going to take a seat. So, bloop, down. Just take a seat on your butt. And then we're going to bring our heels together and make a little butterfly, opening up the hips a little bit. I'll show you from this angle. And you can grab the feet and you can move your knees up and down. This really, really helps the hips get some movement and some space. And breathe. Beautiful. And let's go ahead and release the left leg out in front of us straight, and then bring the right leg over your left thigh. So you're kind of in a 4 position. And then we're just going to take our fingers and interlace our toes. Hopefully you have clean toes. And then we're just going to start doing manual circles with the ankle. Make as big of a circle as you possibly can. Breathe. Maybe go the other direction. Beautiful. And now, when you're ready, pause and then flex all the way. So press your feet as much as you can to your shins, your toes to your shins, and then point as much as you can. And go back and forth between flex and point. And flex and point. One more time. Flex and point. Beautiful. Release. Do anything you need to do. Shake them out. Same thing on the other side. Left foot comes up. Interlace your hand with your toes and then making small circles. Now, if you have any pain doing any of this, or if you have just sprained your ankle, rolled your ankle, anything like that, maybe this isn't the time to do this kind of stuff. Always rest, ice. I've injured my ankles 1,000 times. Go ahead and switch. Mostly from playing soccer or hiking or whatever else. But this is not the stuff to do right after a sprained ankle. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe a week. Depends on how you feel. But if there's pain, back off. And go ahead and pause, and then we're gonna do a flex and point. So flex it all the way, stretch, 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 and point. And flex, and point. And flex, and point. And one more, flex, and point. Beautiful. Go ahead and release. Shake them out, do anything you gotta do. And then we're gonna come into a crisscross. Now this might seem silly, but oftentimes snowboarders have really sore or tight anterior tibs. So that's the front part of your shin from doing so much dorsiflexion. So bringing your toes up to your shin a lot. So stretching that out, we're gonna rotate our ankle a little bit as they lay on the ground. So imagine pinky toe is coming towards your inner thigh, so the top of your foot almost is laying on the ground and the bottom of your foot is looking up. So this takes a little bit of hip mobility too. I'll link my hip video so you can see how to open up those as well. So making sure that your top of your foot is almost on the ground, bottom of the foot is facing the ceiling. Same thing with the other one, rotate and place it down. Really opening up your hips. And if right now your knees are way up here, grab a pillow, sit it under your sit bones, and it'll open up your hips more. And so it's more accessible to do this. And breathe. Beautiful. And we can always add in a 2-for-1, which I always love. So you can inhale your arms up, and then exhale one down as you really go up, not crunch over to the side, but go up, 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 intentions up, maybe towards the corner of the room, and release. Same thing on the other side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, left arm down, right arm goes up and over, not crunching, but we're trying to get maybe where the ceiling meets the wall, over there. And release. Beautiful. Let's do one more time. And switch. And release. One more time on the other side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, left arm down, right arm up. Up, 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 up. And over. Beautiful. Go ahead and release. And we're going to switch our feet. So whichever foot you brought into the center, go ahead and bring that to the outside. And vice versa. Usually this way is a little bit more awkward because we always choose our favorite first. So switching your feet and sitting here for a moment. We can do a couple more, maybe some rotation. So inhale your arms up, and then exhale, left hand over right thigh, right hand behind you, twist. And slowly release. And going on the other side, big inhale all the way up. And then exhale, right hand over left thigh, left hand behind you, twist. And release. We'll do one more on either side, just like last time. Inhale, arms up. And twist over your right shoulder. And slowly release. Last one. Inhale, arms up. Twisting over your left shoulder. And slowly release. Beautiful. Okay, we can undo our feet slowly with control, and you can bring them out in front of you. Maybe point and flex a couple times. Nice. And then we're just gonna bring ourselves over our ankles. So we're gonna sit like we did in the beginning with child's pose, but our knees are gonna be together. So bring your toes together, your heels together, and then bring the tops of the feet onto the mat and sit back onto your feet in that position. If this is a lot of pressure for you, roll up a towel, a blanket. I'll show you. Okay, so if we have this rolled up towel, if this is killing you to sit here, put it under your ankles like So that will take some pressure. You can still see my feet right here. That will take some pressure off of the angle of your ankle, but still working this position, which is ultimately going to help you with your ankle mobility on the mountain as well. So use this tool. If this is too much, you can always use a sweatshirt or something else to give you a little bit less angle each time. So I'm going to take this one away and breathe while you're still sitting on your ankles. And for those of you who sitting here is actually quite easy, we can take it up a notch by leaning back and just bringing up your knees a little bit, extending that ankle even more. And breathe. Beautiful. And back to neutral. And let's go ahead, hands on the ground into our tabletop position, bringing your feet up and making those small circles. And then we're going to end off really quick with a downward dog. So tuck your toes under, hover your knees off the ground, shake your knees out, bringing your hips over your ankles, your head between your arms, and then slowly start to straighten the legs. Again, pressing one heel down to the ground and then the other. Breathe. And when you're ready, slowly walk your feet up in between your hands into that forward fold. Breathe, keeping that bend in the knees. And slowly, one vertebrae at a time, rolling up. Head up last. And then end with a big inhale, swoop the arms up. And then exhale, hands down to heart center. All right, that's it, you guys. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, compliments, as always, feel free to let me know. I hope that one really opened up your ankles, and maybe some of you were like, really realizing what you need to work on. Maybe some of you were like, that was nothing, cake. Then great, you have great ankle mobility. Tag a buddy, share with a friend. What else do you do on YouTube? Subscribe, all that good stuff.